Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. It's here. We made it. Hey, do me a favor. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to support the work I do, please consider a membership, a PayPal donation, a coffee, whatever you can do. With that out of the way, let's dig in. The Madeline Soto case is one of the saddest and most infuriating. Not only was this precious girl essayed by her mother's on-again, off-again, ne'er-do-well boyfriend for years, she was also unalived by him on the same day that she celebrated her 13th birthday. At 13, Maddie should have been having innocent crushes on boys at school, not drawing explicit images of the essay she was subjected to in her math notebook. There, along with math equations, detectives found drawings that made it clear Maddie had been exposed to acts well beyond her years. Her assayer, Stephan, was a classic groomer. He manipulated Maddie as a little girl into doing things for him, dangling more playtime on a cell phone in exchange for certain acts. Maddie's mother, Jen Soto, who should have been watching over her, instead allowed Stefan to spend unsupervised private time with her. It remains to be seen how much Jen knew about what was going on between her daughter and Stearns, but it appeared as if Jen was more concerned about Stefan and his need for a lawyer than she was about her daughter when her daughter went missing. Even the detectives interviewing Jen called her out on this. I mean, look at that precious face. How could you not protect her? Well, now we have more jailhouse phone calls between this doofus, the man-child that is Stephan Stearns, and his accommodating parents. The docket obtained the calls, from what I understand. He then shared them with Plunder, which is where I found them. I'll leave links to their channels in the description. I'm going to tell you about the fun, curious details of the first call. Then I will play you a portion of the call in which Stefan and his parents discuss what happened to Maddie on the night/morning she died, February 25th into February 26th of 2024. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss that last part. Now, the first call took place approximately 3 months after Stefan was arrested and jailed. His parents, who have to pay for these calls, seemed determined to make their son's time in jail as pleasant as possible. Stefan's mother, in particular, focuses on his commissary balance and his stash of purchased goods. Stefan tells his parents that he still has enough saltine crackers, coffee, and hard candy to get through the month, but he's torn through some other purchased food items. Stefan tells his parents that the time after dinner is the most difficult because he gets hungry and then he has to wait for breakfast the next morning. Boo-hoo. I mean, I can relate to being sort of a snacker at night. I find it hard to avoid eating in the evenings, but of course I can just walk to my kitchen and I don't have to wait for a tray to be put through the door. But then again, I didn't do what Stefan did to Maddie. Stefan's father, Chris, points out that Stefan has always had a habit of snacking all day. And once again, Stefan comes off like a little kid who never grew up, never learned how to adult. And his parents are clearly accustomed to this because they're right there to help him, and they don't really criticize him or tell him, hey, it's time to grow up. It's time to fess up to what you've done. They don't say that. Stefan also makes it known that he needs reading glasses, and his father seems to be the one sending him books. Chris spends some time asking about how much the cheater glasses cost in the commissary and if Stefan can return them if they're not the right strength. The conversation makes it seem like money is tight. Mom Debbie brings up the idea of purchasing a silicone mat for Stefan, who quickly tells her that it likely won't be approved by the jail. Mom Debbie brings up the idea of purchasing a silicone mat for Stefan, who quickly tells her that it won't be approved. Stefan then whines about how filthy and unsanitary his ant-infested cell is. Apparently, Stefan was in the same cell before, then he was transferred to another one, and then at some point he was awakened at 2 a.m., just when he was about to fall asleep, and he was moved back to the ant-infested cell. His father, Chris, who seems to be the jokester of the family, states that jail isn't the Ritz or even the Holiday Inn, as you should know by now, that committing a crime isn't going to land you in a nice place. And I recall Chris saying the same thing to Stefan in an earlier phone call. And Chris goes so far as to say the ants in Stefan's cell should now be familiar friends. Stefan also tells his parents that once an inmate moves into a cell, the powers that be no longer clean it. I'm wondering why Stefan can get off his arse to do the cleaning himself if it matters that much to him. Is this something that just never occurs to him because all his life he's been couch surfing between mom and dad's house and Jen Soto's, and thus never had to do any grown-up chores? Did Jen do that stuff for him? Did his mother clean his bedroom at home? He sounds so entitled, and his parents come across as really wanting to ensure that Stefan will have money in his commissary for the rest of his life. At this 3-month juncture, Stefan's parents are going through all of their son's boxes. There are boxes stored in his bedroom at their home and in their storage unit. And it sounds like they're going to sell Stefan's extensive stash of Disney collectibles, an expensive watch he bought with inheritance money back in the day, his car, and anything and everything to get more money for his commissary account. It kind of reminds me of how the Adelsons were coddling Charlie in jail and now in prison, and now Donna Adelson, too, is getting money put on her commissary by her husband Harvey, and some of her fellow inmates are allegedly hitting her up for money and food. Boo-hoo for Donna. Not. While the Adelsons are millionaires, Stefan's parents sound like they have to work hard for their living, and we know that they didn't hire Stefan a private defense attorney. Stefan has to rely on a court-appointed lawyer. And let's face it, he doesn't have the good looks or the type of crime of, say, a Luigi Mangione, who has amassed a huge fan base as well as a small fortune in a GoFundMe. No, Stefan is pretty much screwed in every department, and well should he be. First off, the evidence against him in terms of his myriad SA charges is incredibly strong. The photos that investigators found on his phone and likely elsewhere put Stefan and his uniquely freckled appendage at the crime scene in the bedroom. It sounds like Stefan thinks he has a shot of getting off on the unaliving charges. He tells his parents in a very unemotional voice that he's been looking through Maddie's autopsy report, and he's telling a story in which he's not the bad guy who unalived Maddie. This is one big fat lie, in my opinion. The only thing that may be possible is that perhaps Jen Soto also played a role in the crime. I'm not saying that she's definitely involved in the unaliving, but it's possible, allegedly. Stephan makes it sound like Maddie's death wasn't planned, and it didn't look like it was planned. And he infers that she just died when he was not in the bedroom with her. He says he left the room and was not there all night. So I wonder who he thinks put hands on Maddie's neck. And when he went into the room, he said, he found her ice cold. In my opinion, this is all baloney to the maximum degree. Old Stefan has spent a lifetime weaving tall tales. His father told us that he lies all the time. Note how conveniently he takes himself out of the bedroom where Maddie was, and how he explains doing things with his phone. We know that he was on that telegraph thing around midnight. What was he doing? Was he sending photos and perhaps a video to someone on the dark web? We don't know. The problem with Stefan's story is that there were roommates sleeping upstairs who heard and saw some things. At the very least, one of them heard him going up and down the stairs all night. But of course, Stefan has even woven that into his story. He admits that he's up and down all night. So this is a convenient way to get around what the roommate said she heard and saw. Stefan also lets us know when he supposedly found Maddie ice cold. Take a listen.
And then,
they move you, Blanket, and Matt.
Yep. They'll move me with the mat. If they don't, I'll take my blanket and everything and just hope that they clean the mat in the new cell well enough, which last time they did not.
Yeah. Right.
I found a whole wad of shit underneath at one time.
Yeah, so you get to, well, you should, maybe complain to management.
No. Yeah, well, I'll be sure to include it in my Yelp review.
Yeah. Yeah.
1 star, accommodations suck. Food terrible.
Yeah. Well, the idea is not to be there, but but too late for that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Stephan, I could never have imagined that we would all be in this situation. I just couldn't. There's no way I could have ever even visualized this. This is awful.
Yeah, me either, to be honest.
Well, I mean, things kind of went sideways, whatever happened with, so you knew that was going to go down a rat hole.
Yeah, well, I never in a million years that she would not be around anymore, so.
Yeah. So, once that went sideways, whatever happened, that was all she wrote.
Yeah, well, I can handle a lot of things.
What's that?
I said, Jill has not been heard from except for an interview she did with a newspaper where she told everybody that she did sleep with you guys and she did sleep with you in the other room.
As I was going to say, I can handle a lot of things, but one thing I just can't reconcile or figure out in my mind or wrap my head around is the fact that, he doesn't get to live anymore. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see for her, She had another year or so before high school. Learning how to drive, figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. I was excited to see where she was going, I was really impressed with the person that she was finally growing into.
Well, got a whole lot to talk about, a lot to own up to.
Well, again, I know you can't talk about this, but it's like, it almost sounds like you didn't know something had happened to her.
Well, I discovered her, in the state that she was in after everything was said and done. So, obviously I can't get into detail, but no, I was not aware that she had passed on. As you know, I'm up and down throughout the night, and I was not in the room the whole time. And it's not like you just suddenly feel someone's ghost pass away from them. It's a discovery. And
so she wasn't even in the same room with you?
Well, she was in the room that I started in, but I'm up and down throughout the night, and I tend to wander around the house and fiddle around on my phone and step out front and feel the nice cool night air and all that. So I was gone from the room for. Obviously, I really can't get into too many details, but
yeah,
okay.
I didn't discover what had happened until just around dawn.
Okay. Interesting.
Because I discovered that she was ice cold.
Well, all I can say, Stephan, is that my heart breaks for you, because I know that's something that you never would have done and never would have wanted to have done to her.
Damn right.
Neither would we.
Damn right.
I'm angry on your behalf that it happened, and I'm angry that you got dragged into it by them. So I'm just angry.
Was there anybody else at the townhome that was not a regular person?
No, which is why I keep saying that I'm not sure that there's any one person, honestly, to blame. But they're certainly trying to blame me. And according to the autopsy report, like I said, raises a lot more questions, but they seem to be settling on trying to say it's homicide. Like I said, it has something to do with bones in her throat, but take that to mean what you will.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
But I would never have done anything like that.
No. Yeah. You're the same person that cried when I asked you to dispatch a little bird that broke its neck or something and was flopping around.
Yeah, same person that cares about people, cries at movies.
Yes, I know.
And then there was Skippy.
Skippy, yeah. Rue. Jaybird, yep, I remember them all. Burying them was very hard for me.
Yeah.
And,
all I know, Stephan, is when I look at a picture of you and I look into your eyes, I don't see a monster there. I don't see a bad person there. I see my son, who I love. And that never will change.
Well, thank you. And I know that I'm not a bad person or an evil person or a monster.
No. But you do need to dive into the Bible head first and stay in it, because you need grace, and you need God on your side as a warrior on your side.
I keep asking him to help me through this somehow. I know that
And you still don't have a Bible?
I have a Bible. I have a King James version.
Okay. So we're looking into getting your large print Bible. So I want to make sure that this delivery gets to you, and then I can order one from the publisher and get it to you large print, so it won't be glasses.
Well, hopefully it does. We have no idea how often they pick it up or how long it'll take to get here and get sorted and get delivered, if it does at all. But I haven't received any written notification of anything being returned yet, so.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll judge it from there, and so we'll just make sure that we're timing this right. So the Bible will occupy the majority of your time.
Yeah, but keep praying to God for help, for some kind of miracle. I know I've probably run up my divine credit as far as miracles go, with my guardian angel and God working in overtime to keep me alive as long as they have. But I keep hoping for one more big miracle, one big salvation. And
have you got some way to keep a journal of notes that you would take from reading the Bible?
I can get a pad of paper off the commissary, and I can get more pens and stuff too. I think my commissary is about negative $10 by this point, but I know I can get a pad of white ruled paper off of there.
Okay. So do I need to replenish the commissary yet, or wait?
If you want to, yes. But I'm not going to use it on snacks, just on essentials for now.
All right, how much do I need to put in?
$50.
Okay.
It's going to be dropped down to 40 like immediately.
Okay.
Without to get cut off.
About out of time.
Yep, I'll talk to you later. I love you both.
Love you.